Hey, everybody, welcome to Barbecue Nation. I am JT, along with my Hall of Fame co host, Leanne Whippen, coming to you from our respective Turn It, Don't Burn It studios on each coast, one in the East and one in the West. And we thank you for listening today. We've got a big thanks that goes out to Painted Hills Natural Beef, beef the way nature intended. Christmas is on the horizon, and we're going to be talking about that with our guest here. But don't forget, you can go to paintedhillsbeef.com. You can actually order some of their beef online, and in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, there will be a little, I don't know what you call them, a little spot that'll say, do you have a coupon or a code?
A
code window. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you can just type in BBQ Nation and you get 15% off, and that delicious Painted Hills beef will come right to your door. Well, he's back. It's his annual visit with us, one of my dearest friends in the world, and an icon in the food world and in the television world and in the humor world. Graham Kerr, the Galloping Gourmet. He was the pioneer of food television. Of course, him and what was her name again? The other one? Yeah.
Julia.
Julia. Yeah.
Child or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. Do you know the famous statement from Julia was where she said to me, "When did you start on television?" And I said 1960. No, you didn't. I was first. And I said, actually, I did start in. Well, where was that? She said. And I said, New Zealand. Oh, that doesn't count.
Well, I've told many of people that when I visit with them and they ask if I know you, and I say yes. Excuse me. And I said, well, Graham and Julia were giving away some awards, and Graham came out in his kilt and kind of stumped Julia for a minute there, and then there was an ongoing argument for years who was first. But Graham's retort was, "You were on public television, and I was nationally syndicated." I never heard how the end of that story went.
You don't know the tagline from Julia?
No.
She looked at the audience and, "No, you can see who wears the pants around here." She came out in a suit and I was in my skirt, you know.
Did you guys get on well?
Oh, yes, we did. You know, it began bad. I mean, it was really bad. It was like an insurrection. You can imagine 3,000 culinary professionals gathered together in San Francisco, of all places, at an annual gathering of culinary professionals. And she's up there talking. She said, "I don't believe it's possible to eat only 10% of calories from fat. And if you do that, I want you to stand up now so I can see you." Now, remember, over 3,000 people, all of my peer group, you know. And I was doing that for Trina because she'd had a heart attack and a stroke, and I needed to do this to help. And that's what I did every day. So she wanted to see people who did it. I wasn't standing up to cause an insurrection. So I stood, and one other lady right at the other side of this giant ballroom, she stood up too. And I was looking across all these heads. Now, Julia, when she asked for that, looked down for, it seemed to be a long moment at her notes. By the time she got her head up again, I had sat down because I only wanted to sort of up, hey, and then and sit down. So apparently she was told afterwards that it was me, that I had stood up. All the heads turned, especially the news critic people were just fascinated by this effort. And so she sent a message to me the first time we met. "We need to sit and eat together." And And she said, she invited me across the road. She said, I don't eat healthy Californian cuisine. So we went across the road. She had a hamburger and fries. Um, I think I had a chicken sandwich. And she's drinking beer. And and we're talking to her. She really wants to know how it is that I can do this. And she, for at least a year, she was questioning me constantly. And then she met Trina. And then everything changed because Julia said, well, now I've met Trina, I can understand why you do this terrible thing.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So we sent her every birthday she had, we sent her a rose bush so that she could plant it. And I think she had 10 of our rose bushes in her Santa Barbara digs, which she went to in the summer. Yeah.
Very
Oh,
nice.
that's
that.
marvelous.
Love her to bits, and we got on very, very well in the end. Yeah.
Oh, well,
That's
good
good
for
to
you.
hear.
And I love those stories, Graham. I
too.
really do, because those are things very few people would know.
That's correct.
You know, it's
Yes.
not like you're
Yeah.
pulling back the curtain on a big secret, but you two were television pioneers. You know, it's kind of funny because Leanne and I have both commented, we don't need to relive our history, but when we interview some people, a lot of them, especially I would call them fairly young, Leanne, and fairly new to what we do.
Fairly new is definitely key.
And they'll say, you know, and a standard question is, where would you like to be, you know, 2 or 5 years from now, type thing? And they'll say, well, you know, I'd like to have my own TV show. And Leanne and I both at the same time chime in and go, no, you don't.
I mean, they do. Everybody would
do.
like to have their own show. I mean, honestly, it's just that it's, as you know, Graham, and we've heard your stories from past years, the hard work. You didn't have the food stylist. You didn't have, you know, the Sue, you know, doing all your work for you. You did it all yourself. And things are much different now on TV. But certainly back in the day, it was much more challenging, especially to be the first one.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
you know, I've got an announcement in the middle of my thing, which is not getting in your way.
Yeah.
But it's getting in Leanne's way, and I'm not getting the full benefit of looking Leanne straight in the face.
Oh, really?
So can you move that band? It says this meeting is being recorded.
Oh,
the account
yeah,
owner
there
can
should
watch
be.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a little green button, right, Jeff?
Should be.
Is there a green
okay.
button at the top right-hand side? No.
I'm not sure.
If you just highlight, it says meeting information on there.
It then says at the bottom, leave meeting. Got it.
Oh, yeah.
Don't want to do that.
Don't want to do that. But I can't.
I think it's a button that's next to leave meeting. Maybe. Is there another one there? Option?
No. Nope.
I can't fix what you see on your screen, unfortunately.
I know that. I know I get a little signal when he starts recording and a thing comes up and I have to hit it. It's I forget what it says. I just always hit it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I haven't. Leanne, as a gorgeous woman,
eyes,
you were. I know what it is. I'm not being tempted.
Okay. Okay. All right.
There you go.
All right.
There is a God. Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
What does this show will air 2 weeks before Christmas? What does Christmas mean to you, Graham? I don't think I've ever asked you that question.
That's a tough one to answer, but I'll answer it off the top of my head. I'm already with thoughts of beef tenderloin and wrapped in pastry, and that, the beef Wellington. I'm sure you know all about that one. And I was thinking beef because of your sponsor, but underneath me all the time, I'm thinking lamb, 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 because I've done it every single Christmas season. It's lamb. But beyond that, it's really not getting to buy stuff. I've got up to here. I'm old enough now to have got whatever I'm happy to receive, and I'm grateful for it. But I'm not into the buying stuff at this time. What I was really interested in was the word joy. Because I see a lot of it, joy to the world and everything else. And joy, joy, joy everywhere, on cards, on billboards and everything else. And I look back on my Christmases without joy.
Really?
I haven't been joy. You see, I was brought up in the hotel business as a single child. So my parents were working hard at Christmas. So I never had a Christmas tree in the living room. I never had a present wrapped for me. That was not part of thing. I've never played board games at all of any kind. So I was kind of miserable about this one. And as a Christian nowadays, I just complained to God about this one. Hey, apparently joy is the big deal at the moment, and I'm not getting it, and I'm so angry with not getting joy that I'm like a Grinch. I'm a killjoy, and so would you mind dealing with me so that I can try and see what joy is about? And just in a flash, I'm in a manger. Not a manger, but the manger, and it's smelling of animals and the whole thing. And Jesus is there in the manger, and Mary and Joseph and the whole. It's just like an ordinary setup. It's real and moving. And I'm dressed like I am, and Mary looks up and doesn't say, "Why are you dressed like that?" She says, "Would you like to hold him?" And she lifted baby Jesus up and struggling a little bit, and dropped him in my arms. And I'm looking down at this little wrinkled baby with the eyes not really focusing yet. And I cry. There's teardrops which are just dropping down on his wrapping. And what I'm doing is I'm crying with joy. I'm actually overwhelmed by having him in my arms and feeling his little heartbeat against mine. And that he chose to come and be in the midst of all of this in such a situation. And it just overwhelmed me. And I realized as I was crying that I was experiencing joy. And it's been that way ever since. I've stopped criticizing everybody, and I enter into that joy. It's been profound. So that's Christmas for you.
Wow.
Is that all right?
Yeah,
yes,
that's
perfect.
absolutely fine. Leanne, we got. I'm asking you the same question. What is? And we've got about 2 or 3 minutes here.
It's funny that he talked about being in the hotel business and kind of skipping over not just Christmas. It would probably be all holidays, because I was in the hotel industry for 15 years, and so all of my holidays I didn't spend with my family.
Yeah.
And so I can relate to that 100%. And then going into the restaurant, same deal. I mean, on Thanksgiving, I was, doing turkeys and then eating with the staff and not my family. And, it was just, and being out of the restaurant biz for a couple of years now, I'm experiencing joy because now I have that time and now I have the holidays, with my family. So it's very
Yes.
similar. Yeah. Very
Well, and
similar.
that is
Good.
also because you're working and have met me finally. So
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sure that brings you great joy.
Oh, and the question goes back and the question goes to you, Jeff. What about you?
Well, we got to take a
Yeah.
break. We got to take a break.
Oh, of course. Perfect timing.
Yeah, we got to take a break. We'll be back on Barbecue Nation, and maybe I will answer that question when we come back with Graham and Leanne right after this. Welcome back to Barbecue Nation. I'm JT, along with Ms. Whippen. We'd like to thank a new sponsor with us, Hammerstall Knives and Heritage Cookware. I'm just now taking them out of the boxes here, and I like what I see, so we'll give you more reports going forward. Also, if you want to contact us, it's pretty easy. Just go to barbecuenationjt.com. You can send us a note there, or you can contact either of us through our respective Facebook pages or the show's Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and whatever. We're talking with Graham Kerr today, the Galloping Gourmet. If you don't know who Graham is, shame on you. Graham is a pioneer in the culinary television business. My hero since I was, I think, 10 years old. I'm not exaggerating. I think that's about the first time I saw you on television, and I became a rabid fanatic there. And so for
the
all
rabid
of you,
fanatic, I love it.
Well, you taught me so much without me actually standing beside you, physically showing me. You taught me so much, and I am very, very grateful. Now, this sounds like a bromance, I get it, but it is true, because it's very hard for people sometimes to understand that a kid that was 10, 11, 12, all the way through college, by the time I was done with college and stuff, you were not producing the daily shows anymore and that. But I kept track of you, and then the internet came on, and then we met in person and talked on the phone, and you're a frequent guest on the show. It's just been, you've taught me so much, and I do truly appreciate that. So there you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's get.
We're getting. Let's get your Christmas out of the way.
Yeah, you didn't say what the answer was to the question that you asked us.
Okay, what does Christmas mean? Like both of you, when I was small, I was at home on the ranch and we had Christmas. But when I got older and was traveling, a lot of times I would have to leave. There were times I never made it home for Thanksgiving, and there were times that I maybe was home for Christmas Eve but had to leave again on Christmas Day. And so now I don't have to do that anymore, and I get to spend time with my family and my close friends. And I think that both of you, when you said about joy, in fact, I said this last week, Leanne, when the celebration is over and everybody's tucked in, especially when we had the ranch and it was clear and cold, I would walk out on Christmas Eve and walk down through the barns and the pastures and could stand there and look at the sky and look at the stars, and you could hear the animals, you could hear the streams, like that, and the peace and the quiet. And it was, and nobody's ever heard me say this on the air, but it was like I had a direct pipeline to God, not in a ludicrous, what do I want to say, arrogant stage. Not that. It made you look up and appreciate everything that we have, everything that I have. And I'm not talking about material possessions. I'm talking about my family, my friends, life in itself. And that's what brings me joy, and it still does. Even though I don't live on the ranch anymore, if you came to my house about midnight on Christmas Eve, you would see me in the backyard looking up at the sky. So there you go.
You know what I call that? You are looking into the immensity of space and feeling personal, feeling no matter how tiny you are, you are very, very present. You're like a feather. Feathers weigh almost nothing, incidental to them. But the way that God weighs feathers is a different way than we do.
Yeah. I'm a little bigger than one feather, but as Leanne can attest to, but yeah, I think that's true, because you just and the gratefulness that I feel.
It.
I feel, like that.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
All right.
Moving right along.
Moving right along here. So when you've been on the show before, we've talked about lamb, we've talked about things you prepared for Christmas.
Yeah.
Is there something, Graham, that you've never had a chance to make for Christmas, but you'd like to take a shot at it?
Well, I've made it in the past, and I did a 2-episode Galloping Gourmets way back when we were visiting Nice in South France, and it's making a good personal pâté, and I think nowadays I would buy one of these rustic pâtés that you can buy in pretty well every store nowadays, and mash that down so that it's nice and flexible. Spread it out over a sheet of puff pastry, and then sear a tenderloin of beef very well all over the outside, seasoned well, and then wrap it in the pastry. And then bake it in an oven at 400 degrees for about 45 minutes. I'm saying you can drive a meat thermometer through the pastry in an inconspicuous place and get the internal temperature. Now, I'd probably go for 135, 140 for my taste. And then it's brought out and carved across through that, and you get this wrapping of the puff pastry. You get this encirclement of the pâté, and then you get this pink, beautiful roasted outside, crusted outside, and the pink center, and that's the beef Wellington. And I think it is a lovely thing to see on a Christmas table. Yeah,
I agree.
Would you serve that with like a Yorkshire, or what would be
the
side?
No. I mean, the pastry does the Yorkshire thing. You see, the pastry instead of that, it doesn't. It really shouldn't be violated in any other way. I mean, you could pour a béarnaise sauce or a hollandaise over the top of it, but I think that would be overdoing it. It is so luscious and so it's such a sight on a table to be able to put that there and then carve it before people, and it looks like you're carving a loaf of bread almost. And here it is with the people. Whoa!
No, you're making me hungry.
That's a total wow factor. Total wow factor.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've got to take another break while I sit and think about that, because I may have just changed our Christmas Day menu.
I know my mind was like twisting too. I was like, oh God, now this is what I have to do.
Okay, we're gonna be Graham, Leanne, and I will be back in just a couple minutes. Please stay with us. You're listening to Barbecue Nation, one of our Christmas specials.
Aha.
Yes, here we go. Welcome back to Barbecue Nation. I'm JT, along with Ms. Leanne Whippen, Hall of Famer, I might add, which I can't say that enough. And one of my heroes in life, besides my dad, probably right up there.
Thank you. Thank you for putting me in the age bracket, my friend. Yeah.
Well, I meant my feelings towards that. It's nothing to do with math, believe me. Graham, Kerr. But first of all, we want to thank Painted Hills Natural Beef. Don't forget about their discount for Barbecue Nation listeners. You can go to paintedhillsbeef.com. Order what you want there, and use BBQ Nation in the promotion code on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. It'll save you 15%, and the beef will come right to your door. Also, drum roll, that's as good as we get here, with pig powder. And we have the proprietor of pig powder sitting on your screen right there, the blonde lady with the white Christmas tree. It says grandma behind her. And the pig, I like the pig on your shelf too, by the way, Leanne.
Thank you.
Pig powder was created by Leanne's father. It had won the best rub of the year on the planet. It's used by winning pit masters all over the country. I use it. I used some last night, as a matter of fact.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
And you know what? Internationally, it's used too, because we had
the Belgium
gentleman, the Belgium who was at the Jack. He was well aware of it as well. So that was good.
And it does, as Leanne likes to say, it makes a great stocking stuffer. So go to pigpowder.com. Leanne will put a little Christmas bow on it for you and send it to you. So go to pigpowder.com, and there you go. So let's talk with Graham some more here. In Christmas meals, and I am guilty of this, probably at the head of the table, or the top in front of the line, I should say, Graham. Sometimes, because it's Christmas and you want to make sure everything is plentiful and bountiful and all those nice words, tend to overdo it a bit. I've never been accused of that to my face, but I can tell you that it is true. So, because our standard fare most of the time is a rib roast, prime rib, if you will. And I make some tremendous twice baked potatoes and a Caesar salad and perhaps another vegetable. And of course, we've got rolls and
pie.
Lots of pie. Lots of pie. Lots of pie. Do you think it's what you were talking about with the Wellington in the prior segment here? Do you think it's maybe better to simplify the Christmas dinner a little bit?
Well, I do, and it just could be my age, my friend. But I am going to this year be in the company of people. Most of my Christmases are family, but now I'm adding a new family member to that experience. Just before, and I'm not going to go into this in
right.
Just before I remarry. I'm going to drop that into our thing, but Christmas this year, I will still be a widower, and in the early new year, I should be a newly married man. So I'm going to be wanting to be able to make that table both a spectacular opportunity as well as lightening it up as well. I don't see the point in staggering in a bloated fashion from the table. I want to do something which is creative enough to be able to be a satisfaction. For example, nowadays we can buy because lots of people are making them now, the very thin French fry that is made out of sweet potatoes. The sweet potato fries. Sure. And the French call them allumettes, like matchsticks. Very, very, very thin. And if you air fry those in the new air fry ovens, which is a good thing. If you don't have an air fry oven, buy one for Christmas. That's something that's worth having. And they're quite inexpensive. It's really hot air blown in. And these have got a little bit of omega-3 fatty acid oil in them, as well as a little sea salt, so you don't have to salt them or anything or add any fat to it. Lay them out and give it about 20 minutes at 400 degrees. And my friend, they are tremendous. And they come out and they're this big haystack full of this marvelous golden French fries. And let's face it, the French fry is an absolute sensational thing to eat anyway.
Right.
So, and this is adding to the French fry the best root vegetable that the humankind can eat. So this is now. I take the russet potato. I noticed you said the twice baked
Right.
potato, and I'm sure you're using the large russet
Mhm.
and to do that. Well, I bake those russets till they're 200 degrees Fahrenheit internal temperature. It takes about 40 minutes at 400 degrees. And I then scoop the whole inside out, which is what you've done to do the twice bake. But I then leave the skins. They can be brushed with a little butter or olive oil and just put back in a hot thing, just as a separate, but they're ugly. So let's just deal with the mash. I mash that. You cannot make mashed potatoes as well as they're made when you're spooning out the inside of a russet.
Right.
A russet which is properly cooked is the most brilliant base to be able to make mashed potatoes. Now, when you make mashed potatoes, it's good a good ladleful, with an ice cream servant, one of those clicker things. And 1 cup size, I know it means a special, but it's worth it. You then got that, click it onto the plate, and now it's a nice round top with a this little soup spoon. You then make an indentation really down deep into the middle of that mashed potato, and that's where you pour the gravy. You fill that. It looks like looking down on Mount St. Helen. It's add a full to the top with gravy. Oh goodness! And take a fork through that and dip it. It doesn't need to have salt, a little salt in the potatoes, but it doesn't need cream and butter. It's got that gravy there to give it all the flavor it needs, and it's such a combination of textures. It's wonderful. So that, can you imagine a plate where you've got this, say you've got your prime rib, but you've got this mound of the potato there, they're filled with a gravy that you've made, and on the side this haystack of these golden sweet potato fries. How does that sound?
Leanne, you can finish the show. I'm gonna go.
It sounds once again like I'm changing my menu.
Oh, it's marvelous. The one thing
And
we always go ahead.
Go ahead. There's one thing that I'd like to throw into this, because I've had it recently. I've never drunk it before. Now I used to be a wine judge very early on in my life, and I drank every show I made in the Galloping Gourmet, and I never was addicted to alcohol. It was something, I was addicted to chocolate. Now that was a problem, but alcohol, no. But I do know that there's about 17 million households in the United States where one glass of something alcoholic can be devastating.
Right.
And so I just went looking for something that I could drink and give to other people who would normally drink wine that wouldn't be that. So I've invented one thing myself called a J9, which is tonic water and bitters and lime and mint. But that's another issue. This is Martinelli's, and I'm not paid to say this, you know that. I'm not paid to say anything anymore. But it's such a relief. It really is. Martinelli does, and they've got stacks of bottles always in the stores at this time of year. The apple pomegranate one. Now, have you ever tasted that?
Yes, it's marvelous.
apple
I
and
have not.
pomegranate.
I've just had, well, their apple juice I use in competition, have for years, and then there's
Yeah.
sparkling apple, but never pomegranate. I'm gonna have to look for that.
Yeah.
Look, please, it is amazing. And it's just it's a celebration. It's bubbly and God, it's good. It's really good. Yeah.
When our daughter Mercedes was little, that was her, not the apple pomegranate. They have a grape also, and she liked grape, and that was her champagne flute when she was little, was the Martinelli's grape, like that. And so very, very good stuff. And like you say, for people who don't drink or maybe shouldn't anymore, that's a great substitute. Martinelli's is.
It is. Yeah, it is.
And it's pretty inexpensive. Usually around Christmas time, you can get them 2 for $5 or 2 for $6.
Exactly. And you compare that to a bottle of wine, even in different wine, and it's a good buy, I think.
It's a very, very good buy, and highly recommended here by all the folks at Barbecue Nation. We are going to take another break. Excuse me. We're going to come back with Graham and Leanne and me, and we're going to wrap up this show, but Graham will be around for after hours as promised. And so we hope you all have a wonderful Christmas and a great New Year's, but we're not done yet. So we'll be right back. Oop, there we go.
You do this very well.
Oh, well, thank you.
Isn't he great? He is great.
Yes, he really is. Yeah, well done.
Thank you very much. And the good thing about it is I have it on tape now that you said that, so I can I can do that. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Barbecue Nation. I'm Jeff Tracy, if you want to know what JT stands for, not just time. And we're with Leanne Whippen, Hall of Fame, and Graham Kerr, the Galloping Gourmet. And not to get off the Christmas theme, Graham, but do you miss the production schedule of your shows?
Yes, wonderfully. I'm sorry. 195 shows a year with 20 hours of my time involved in each one of them. That doesn't leave that much time for anything else.
No. And for all you people listening that said they wanted their own TV show, listen to what Graham is telling you there. That's a lot of time. I heard an interesting story the other day. We'll continue on that for just a moment. There's a lady I know, and I know Leanne knows who she is too. And they said, oh, she's got a new television show coming out, but on a yet to be determined network. And so having been in that business for a while now, I thought, well, that's a little unusual. So what they've done is they've created a show. Somebody, a production company or whoever got with her, created a show, and now they're pitching the show to networks and what have you. That's a little different than what I was used to, and what I think, because you had Trina, and she kind of managed all that for you, didn't she?
Trina was the producer in terms of being able to get me to behave myself or not behave myself, which was that was her primary. Producers normally are the people who get the money together and make the deals.
Right.
That was not what she did. She said to me, you are the most unutterably boring man in the entire world, and you really need to do something. So I was very miffed about that. That was in the very early days of New Zealand, about 1960. And I said, if you're so damn clever, why don't you produce a show then? And she said, all right, I will. And she'd never produced anything in her life. Went down to Broadcasting House in New Zealand, told them that they were ruining me and that I had a sense of humor and should be given an opportunity to use it. And they said, okay, Mrs. Kerr, then why don't you produce the show, So she did behind the scenes. And it wasn't until the Galloping Gourmet series when she'd been behind the scenes for about 3 years. That she actually was in charge and made sure that everybody knew it, and she ruled the roost. It was amazing what that woman did, and she would rate me after every show from an A+ to a C, and if it was a C, we had to do the show again. We never did a show again, but I used to long to get an A+ from that woman. It was especially at the weekend, and that was helpful.
Yeah,
We did 1,800 programs with her, trying the best she could to stop me being boring. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
as many times as we've talked and stuff, Graham, I have never found you boring. Never.
Well, she wouldn't allow it, and she's dead now, and there would be some thunderclap, and I get fried on the spot.
Right.
So we've got a few minutes left here. Normally, gosh, excuse me. Leanne has cut that out, David. Leanne has a marvelous picture of a pecan pie that she makes, but it's Christmas, so she brought the tree in, and because I've got a tree and all that. Okay. What is your favorite dessert for Christmas?
We've discussed this before. It's mincemeat made by Cross and Blackwell. You know, they always have jars of mincemeat around about this time of year. It's in the dried fruit section usually, and that's a blind baked pie crust. The whole base smothered in the mincemeat. And then I make a good French custard, but a good ordinary custard that you like, and make it stiff. And that's poured all over. Now it's a custard on top of mincemeat, and then on top of the mincemeat, halves of strawberries. Not the best at this time of year for flavor point of view, but they're still available. And then some ground black pepper over the top of the strawberries, which always should be on strawberries because it makes strawberries taste much more vital. Yeah, that's it. A thick slice of that, and man, that's good. It's good food. Yeah.
Leanne, what's your favorite Christmas dessert?
It would be my grandmother's own design pie, and it is, you know, a pie crust, and I have to make it like she did with lard, and then it's not a traditional custard, but it is a custard base, but it has sour cream and egg yolks. And then on top of that, after you bake it for a while till it gets slightly puffy, then you sprinkle semi-sweet chocolate chips over the top, and you put it back in the oven for a little bit, and then you make a beautiful meringue on top. And so that's her own design pie. So that's our family pie. And I have never seen a recipe like it ever, but I remember having it when I was little, and we have it every year since then. So that's my favorite dessert.
Lovely.
There you go. There you go. Well, I'm a bit of a traditionalist as far as I love pecan pie. That is my favorite pie. And so my daughter, who's turned into quite an accomplished baker, will make a Yule log. She does it beautifully and it tastes great, or we have some tiramisu or something like that. But there's always a pecan pie lurking somewhere in the house, hidden just for me. And that's, and I make my own whipped cream. I don't do anything out of a can or a tub.
Oh no, I should think so.
Yes, no,
I would never see you do that.
No. I do use it I do have to use a Cool Whip product when I make this, we call it Yum Yum salad, which is a green Jello and some cabbage and some mayonnaise and some Cool Whip and some sliced or shaved almonds, and that it's a beautiful salad and everybody loves it like that. I do break down and use it for that. But
I understand.
As far as the pies and stuff go, you got to have homemade whipped cream, a real extra heavy cream. and beat with
I
just
have a question, Graham. Are you,
Yeah.
when you make your whipped cream, do you use powdered sugar or white granulated sugar?
I would use a powdered sugar.
Mhm.
And, but the way I make it, I take the granulated and a rolling pin. And so I take a rolling pin to the granulated, and now I've got a combination of the texture as well as the powdered. That's
It's
what I
funny you should
would use.
say that because I just had a conversation and I made a pecan pie the night before last. And I said, well, I'm going to make a batch of whipped cream. And I've noticed that I've made it with sugar and I like the taste. I even actually like the little grittiness of the sugar. And powdered sugar, I don't like the flavor as well. But if you're going to use what's left over, powdered sugar is the way to go because it doesn't separate or soften or anything.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yes.
do you go for the longevity? Do you go for the flavor? But I love what you just said. It's like a combination of the two. So that'll be the next thing I
Yeah.
do. Thank you.
You're
ladies,
very welcome.
ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Leanne Whippen menu change program here for Christmas, and we'll do that. We are out of time, but Graham will stick around for after hours. My friend, congratulations on everything you got coming up, and
Thank you.
we wish you sincerely a very happy and joyful Christmas
Yes.
And New Year.
Big joy.
and New Year's like that.
Thank you.
We will
Thank
be back next week with another show before Christmas, and we thank Graham for being with us today, and of course we thank Leanne as always. And from us here at the Turn It Don't Burn It Studios, we hope you have a tremendous and wonderful holiday. Take care, everybody.
God bless.
Cool.
Don't you go away, Graham.
Yeah.
You're on after hours. Don't you?
Yeah.
You aren't getting out of this that easy.
Okay, here we go. This is the fun part. Hey, everybody, welcome welcome to After Hours here on Barbecue Nation. Normally we talk a lot of stuff about outdoor cooking and barbecue, but this month of December we're also talking a lot about Christmas, as we always do. And of course we've got Graham Kerr with us, Scalloping Gourmet, longtime friend, mentor, and you should, if you haven't listened to the full show yet, you should, because there's some great ideas. I had never thought about using a rolling pin on sugar, on granulated sugar. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that like that. Okay. You told us a bit about growing up and being in a hotel on that, but later on in life, when things were a little more developed in your life as far as a wife and kids and all that, what do you think your best Christmas present has ever been?
That's boy. Okay, yes, all right. And it was given to me by my parents. And as I told you before, I never had a wrapped present. There was no Christmas tree that were presents under. So I would be given something of some size and moment, and this was a bicycle. And it was a bicycle made in England by one of the very first bicycle manufacturers in the whole world. And I'm sorry that I can't remember the name of it at the moment. I normally can. And no, it was a British racing green, and it had gold stripes that were imprinted on it, to accent its quality. It had white wall tires. I got on this thing. I was used to riding a bicycle, and I took it out on Route 22, which goes through Sussex in England, and goes down through the forest, which lies alongside where the hotel was, and it was sunny day, and the shafts of light were coming through the old oak trees on both sides, like a cathedral, and these wonderful dappled spears of light as I was going freewheeling down through this light. Nothing else on the road at that time of day that I was doing it. And I was singing lustily on the top of my voice, by the way, I was about 14.
Oh.
I was 14. I was singing Trina. That was my wife's name, and she had escaped from England, and I hadn't seen her since she was 12. So it was 2 years gap, and yet I was still singing about my first girlfriend. I was saying, Trina, 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 I will love you always. To that song, but always, you know.
All right.
And I remember on that beautiful bicycle with that beautiful day with this lovely thought of the young person that I'd fallen in love with, that gets to be collectively just flat out gorgeous of experience. How's that?
That's good. That's good. Okay, Leanne, top that.
I can't. I just can't. But I do remember when my sister and I got little transistor radios, and I thought we sat there all night long and listened to those little radios. And that's a very memorable gift I remember receiving. And I think about technology today and how different. I mean, how much it's changed. But that was a big deal for me to get a little transistor radio, and we were.
Yeah,
I bet it was.
We still laugh about it.
I bet it was. Yeah, that's. I got a puppy one time.
Yes, I could have said that too. Yes, yeah.
And she was very small. We called her Jingles because they actually put her in my Christmas sock when I wasn't looking. She wasn't in there for more than a minute. But my dad had her upstairs and he brought her down and they said, Jeff, go look in your Christmas sock. And I did. And here was this little puppy hanging out of the sock. And she was there. And what a cute little dog she was. And she became my pal and all that. But I just remember that. That was probably, I mean, you know, I got socks. As I think we all did. My mom was a very functional gift giver. So I got socks and clothes and off and on in that. But I always remember that puppy. In fact, I have a picture of me somewhere holding Jingles, and she was just, well, now she would just fit in my hands, you know, but I was small, so I had her up here like that. She was really good. Graham, how does your Christmas go? Meaning, like, do you celebrate on Christmas Eve? Do you celebrate on Christmas morning? What happens in Graham's house around Christmas?
At the moment, or, you know, traditionally? At the moment, I'm a widower, so I'm on my own. I have a marvelous apartment, and sharing my life with one other neighbor at the present moment. And so it's really to be able to find a gift. And the gift is always given on Christmas morning, not Christmas evening.
Right.
And there's breakfast first of all, and then the unwrapping of the gifts, and on the Christmas day, and the sharing and the experience. We also like to tell stories around the family at Christmas, and after the gifts have been given, then we unwrap the stories. And everybody has a story of some kind out of their life the year before.
What's in your Christmas breakfast? I'll tell you, growing up on the farm, I have a nephew who was born on Christmas Eve, and I always kind of felt bad for the kid because you never knew if he was getting something for Christmas or his birthday. But we always he lived with us for quite a while. But his favorite thing was my mother's chicken biscuits and gravy. So that became the traditional, and this would have been 50 years ago, Christmas breakfast. And the crowd that left on Christmas Eve came back for breakfast, and they would have chicken biscuits and gravy. And that was kind of our traditional. Now we've changed that as I got married and started my own family, and that we kind of have a like we make almond croissants or something like that.
Yes.
For that. And because we always have a larger meal later on Christmas Day, we don't try to weigh it down too much on in the morning for breakfast, but we have croissants and fruit and that type of thing. And then we will go like you, do some presents, do some stories, and then Dad's got to go back to the kitchen and do his Christmas dinner thing.
All right.
So, Leanne, what about you?
We're allowed to open one present on Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
and we always have lasagna. I'm Italian, so we have to have the lasagna. Then in the morning, we always open presents first, and then we always eat eggs Benedict.
Oh, that's marvelous.
That's our Christmas Day breakfast. Yes.
Yeah, that's really marvelous. I love eggs Benedict, by the way.
And then if there's football on, we watch football.
Yeah.
And we like playing board games too on Christmas Eve, like Cube and Risk. I mean, we'll get into some serious board games. That's always been a family tradition.
I think after what Graham said earlier, I'm going to send him a board game for Christmas because he said he never got to play board games.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting. I really would be amazed at that. And thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
we'll start you off with something easy like Monopoly, something like that.
Yeah,
that's a
Monopoly.
fun game like that.
Oh, I played Monopoly. I played Monopoly once, and I wanted to get out of the game so quickly that I turned all my hotels into mission centers and lent all of my money to other people free of charge, and
that'll get you
I
out.
got out quickly.
That'll get you out quickly. Do you think that this isn't about food, but do you think over the last, well, let's say 40 years, 50 years or so, we've become more materialistic on Christmas? I mean, my God, Black Friday is now the third Thursday in July when they start advertising Christmas on television. That bugs me because I think there's a season and a time for everything. That's just my opinion. But when I see Christmas stuff in the stores prior to Halloween, I think we've lost what it's all about.
Well, my friend, you have to look at the cause and effect. And we have a certain lifestyle expectation out of being Americans. And that comes from the fact that we have government which is skimming off the tax that comes, local government as well as national government. And our purchasing power that we each individually have and go along with is what causes us to have this rich whipped cream topping that we have in our culture. And we use that topping for all kinds of things that we think are our entitlement. But frankly, it all comes from the fact that we market brilliantly to each other and just keep on doing it. And that's the way that we live our lives. But I'm not sure that it develops into the kind of love of family and love of each other. I think it eventually degrades that into the worship of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't have an answer to that, because to stop that would be to clean off the whipped cream. And I'm not sure that we can do that anymore. So I think we're stuck with it.
Probably. Leanne?
I agree with what he's saying. I will say that I have fallen into the trap, and I like to buy really nice gifts for my family, not just because oh, I bought them something expensive or whatever, but it's because it brings them joy. And I see the expression on their face. Like my mom, I always have a zinger for every year, and I get that snapshot of her crying, holding whatever it is. So it's
Yeah.
more out of the expression and the happiness that the person,
Yes.
receiving the gift. That's what, that's what does it for me.
Well, I miss green stamps is what I miss.
Green stamps?
Didn't you ever have
You
green?
gave green stamps?
Yeah, well, you used to when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Aren't they like at the A&P or something? The A&P grocery store or something? Had
Well, when
green stamps?
pretty
I
much
don't know.
anywhere, when you bought groceries, when
Oh,
you
and
bought,
you had little booklets, right? Weren't there
yes,
little booklets?
Yes,
and then
yeah.
you turned the booklets in for bicycles,
Yeah.
drums, radios, whatever, like that.
Oh
I
my
miss
gosh,
green
yeah.
stamps. We had a whole drawer full of them when I was a kid. And
Oh.
several times a year, my mom would bring the drawer out and kind of dump it on the table, and we'd fill out all the books, and your tongue tasted like glue. And finally
Oh,
we got
that's
smart and
funny.
used a sponge, but we would do that. If somebody was having their first Christmas Day meal, their first time, maybe they're recently married, maybe it's fallen to them, and maybe they don't want to do all the traditions, they want to start their own traditions, but how should people look at that, Graham, and maybe throw in a couple of suggestions of semi-easy things for them to prepare?
Sure. Well, especially if you were somebody like Leanne with an Italian background, I think I love tortellini, and they're so very easy to fix, and they're always available at this time of year, especially the green tinted, the spinach tinted ones. I would get an ordinary chicken breast, and I'd get the round, thin slices of mozzarella cheese, which you can easily find. Drape that, cook the chicken breast. When it's cooked, cover it with a slice of mozzarella cheese. Get two little pieces of anchovy fillets and lay those across in a cross shape over the top, and sprinkle a few capers on the top of that. Now, it looks really good. You can dust it with a little paprika for color and a little parsley if you like, or you could have put it under a broiler and blister it on the top. But tortellini with that chicken breast with the mozzarella cheese, and it's so many different textures, and it's very Christmassy looking presentation at this point in time. I would do, and that's really easy to do. That's not a complicated.
There's not a lot
it's
of
a few
anchovy fans out there, though. I mean, you could do it with prosciutto or something like that.
Oh,
in lieu
sure,
of-
absolutely.
Yeah. Now you
Yes,
gave me
absolutely.
You gave me a suggestion one time, and I actually did it on one of the shows where I took a pound cake. Gosh, excuse me. I took a pound cake and I sliced it about 4 times lengthwise. And then I filled each one up with I'm trying to remember how I did this, but I did it with whipped cream and strawberries. I think was your suggestion. And then I made a kind of a chocolate caramel drizzle and put it across the top. It was a very easy thing to do, and it looked great, and people loved it. And it was a fairly light dessert compared to fruitcake. And I think you can get quite creative with things like that.
Oh, yes. If you're going to get into a pancake thing, then you can cook one side of the pancake until it's waxy and bubbling, and it's obviously cooked on the one side. And then you put sage leaves over the uncooked side, and then flip it. So then the sage leaves are now cooking on the other side, at the same time as the other side of the pancake. And what you do, you spread horseradish cream sauce over the top of the crepe, and then roll that up. And that sage with the pancake and the horseradish together, that's it. That's a really
That
wonderful.
sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
really does.
Yeah.
You'll have to
Yeah.
do that at the World Food Championships next year, Leanne.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That was
Oh, it
good.
really is. Yeah.
So, Graham, last question here, my friend.
Yes.
Oh, well, there's two parts. One is, what would you like for Christmas?
Well, I, do you know, okay, let's be real. I am walking through a relationship at the present moment that I think is going to be my marriage in the very early part of the new year. And I am receiving love at a level that I have never received in my life. And the only thing I can hope and pray for is that that continues to build. I'm not sure that I know how to contain it, because honestly, I'm embarrassed by it. I'm embarrassed about what it makes me feel like. And that, so I can't think of anything in the world but just to have the same level of love that I'm experiencing now.
I hate to tell you this, Graham, but you are in love. So
yeah, I know I am, and I really don't know how to handle it, honestly. Yeah,
you just let it flow. Just let it go. You'll be fine.
Yeah, but when you've lived nearly 90 years and are realizing that you actually missed it to this level, that's I'm not being disappointed about my past. My part, I'm so grateful to everything, especially Trina. But this woman is just something else. I'm sorry. Okay, let's get off the subject.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I guess that I look at something like that, and Leanne, you can certainly throw your 2 cents in here, but I look at something like that and say, there's a lot of people that never in their lives get to experience that type of joy and love.
Yes.
And that. And so whether it's for 10 days or 10 years or whatever it is, you're blessed and to enjoy it. And like I said, you just roll with it. Leanne, I'll let you close this out.
Well, I don't want to close it out by saying what I want for Christmas, but I'll take what Graham has.
Okay.
I'll take one or two of those.
Okay. Oh, boy.
No, I just I'm just grateful. It's just every Christmas seems to get better and better, and just like with the love you're experiencing, to be able to realize that there is another level and that you didn't even know it was there. I feel like every Christmas and every relationship, it just, it's a new experience, and just embrace it. And that's what I try to do every day.
Yes, very good. Last word for Graham. What would your message to the world be for Christmas?
This is going to be amusing. Leanne, in order to answer this, I'm going to have to ask you to move your head either to the left or to the right.
I'll go this way. Hi.
Okay. All right. Hi.
Can you see me now? Here, I'll move my computer. There.
You've been completely blanked out through this entire program. Are you wearing sparkly stuff in your hair?
No, I think that's just my natural blonde.
Oh,
No. There's a little sparkle.
Oh,
either
you know
side.
what? It's from probably the Christmas tree that I have in my background, or it's from my headphones.
you've got two little
Oh,
silver,
it's headphones.
yeah,
It,
silver
it's
dots on
it,
your headphones.
it's headphones, and I had no
Headphones.
idea that
Yeah.
that's what they were. But I thought
Yeah.
you're wearing sparkles in your hair, and it looks lovely.
Oh,
So
thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
now I get to see you. It's good. And putting up with him all the time was just, it was just a little lower than that. Thank you for
Okay.
being with us.
Of course.
All
Thank
right.
you.
God
All
bless.
right.
Bye.
Well, that's going to wrap it up. Graham, we thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here on Barbecue Nation. And I do so look forward to our visits all the time.
Thank you.
I do. And Leanne,
Good.
I'm very blessed to have you as my co-pilot on this. So
thank you
I
for
want to
that.
thank you for that.
All right.
We've got more shows coming up prior to Christmas. This one, like I said, is going to air when it airs, about 10, 12 days before Christmas. But we hope you all have a marvelous Christmas and blessed one. And remember our motto here: turn it, don't burn it. Don't burn the Christmas tree. That's not in the menu. Okay. So for Graham and Leanne, we want to thank you for listening. Take care. Have a great week, everybody.